The Blips are at it again. The Birmingham, Alabama supergroup has just released their second album, and here is guitarist, vocalist, songwriter Eric Wallace to tell us how the band's classic power pop sound came together. But first, our thoughts turn to baseball.
Yeah, I'm like a big baseball fan.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm just always have been. I played soccer. I was a pretty good soccer player growing up, but I kind of hate soccer, to be honest with you. Like, I never watch it. I like to play it, but I just love watching baseball. I'm a huge Atlanta Braves fan.
Right.
So
you watched the series?
Yes, I did, and once we get eliminated every year, it's like it loses a lot of the fun. But
yeah, we do what you do. Well, down here the big game is rugby. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, last time I was in Ireland, there was in fact, it was like the New Zealand,
the All Blacks.
Yeah, was playing against Ireland, and I was hanging out with this old guy that I know who is this huge rugby fan, and I watched the game. This must have been 2019. Watched the game at his house, and it was wild.
Yeah, it's a wild game. The first time I saw it, I was like, "Hey, first of all, they play 40 minutes without a break. There's no commercial breaks in the broadcast or anything." I'm like, "Holy crap!" And there, of course, no padding or anything.
Football. Yeah, this is like football without all the breaks and stops, and it was awesome.
Yeah, it's a good game, definitely. Anyway, let's talk about some music. You guys got an album on the way, number 2, The Blips again.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. Obviously, the first album came out a few years back. What, if anything, took place between the first and second album, or when the first album came out, to influence this one? If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. I think a lot happened in the sort of all of our worlds. Our first, when we put the band together, it was a pretty organic sort of meeting of friends who, we all just come from other bands that have done a lot in the past, and so it was just kind of a natural fit, the 5 of us just putting songs together and playing and recording. But our first show happened, we recorded the first record, most of it, and had our first show scheduled for March 13th to 2020.
There you go. What happened then?
Yeah. And so it was this weird night where everybody was kind of like, it was like the next day everybody decided, okay, we can't do any of this shit anymore. We got to stop.
Yeah.
But that night, it was a great show, and it kind of like pushed me through the pandemic in a lot of ways. During the pandemic, we had like a boy was born.
Oh, congratulations.
My first son.
Nice one.
Oh, yeah. And, like a lot changed.
Yeah.
And, but so much of what is fun about the Blips is just that it's a band with not a whole lot of, we're not really going out to try and reinvent anything or prove anything to anybody. It's, I think somebody pointed it out in some interview. It's like, well, we wrote Wild Thing too, like we're not trying to necessarily reinvent any kind of wheel, because it's so much fun to play the stuff that we're already good at.
Yep.
So I think to totally answer your question, yeah, a lot changed in the world, but when we sort of got back together, started playing shows again, put out the first album, and then decided to make another one. Well, what's been so fun about it is that it felt the same.
So I see that you guys all write and produce the record together, which seems on paper like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. Excuse me.
How do you make that work?
Man, it's funny the way that works, because like you said, it does seem like a recipe for disaster, but we do. I don't know. I think we all just end up working together so well, and nobody's ego is really involved to the point where, you know, each song does start with one person's sort of musical idea,
Right.
but then as we work with it, um, it's it's like they almost sort of come together by themselves. And if one of us is hearing a melody or has a vocal idea, then we'll just say so and take that song and try to work on
Right.
writing.
So you mentioned that you guys all come from different bands previously. Are those musical? Do you guys have similar musical pasts, or are they fairly diverse?
They both. I mean, we all come from bands that have two guitars, bass, and drums. You know,
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, a lot of my background is in like punk, in like loud southern rock.
Right.
Chris was in a band called Holy Youth. It was like this real cool indie garage thing. Of course,
Right.
Taylor's played with like some really like Conor Oberst and
He was just here. I just saw him last night.
No way.
I can't believe you mentioned. Yeah, Bright Eyes played here last night. In fact, I'm in the middle of writing a review of the show, and
No way.
And I was wondering because I was listening to your record this morning, and there seemed to be something the same, but it was like, no, that they're from Omaha, and you're from there, and blah blah blah. So
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Maybe you didn't know that, but Taylor Hollingsworth was kind of Conor Oberst's right-hand hired gun for all of his solo stuff.
I did not know that.
The Mystic Valley Band.
Right.
Taylor was in that band.
Yeah, he puts on a pretty intense show.
Oh yeah. It's pretty great. And one of our friends often plays bass for him. I don't know if he's playing on this tour or not, but so we've got some connections there. And then our drummer Wes does a really cool project called Terry Ohms.
Right.
It's where he writes everything and records everything, and it's kind of like wacky rock and roll.
Right. So the guy who's playing bass is called Maiwai La Lupa from Buffalo, I think.
That ain't him. That ain't him.
I think it's a new guy. Because like you guys, they put out a new album. They kind of regrouped in 2020, put the record out like in March. We're all ready to tour, and then same deal happens.
Yeah,
it's a common story.
Very true.
Yes. So, and listening to the sound that hits me because is power pop, because I'm I'm familiar with all that stuff because I've been around a while. Is that a legitimate concern? Have I offended?
Yeah, no, I know. I think that's really great for me. It's really, so much of what I love about playing guitar and just music in general is just, and just like punk music and the idea that nothing matters. You can just play what you want to hear.
Right.
It's not about who can play the fastest or the best. That always suited me because I never considered myself like the best guitar player in the room. I was always like, I want that crazy horse sound. I want
right. Yeah, there you go.
I want that. And it's been really interesting for me. A lot of my career as a musician came from sort of trying to work my bands around doing anything that would be that would have the word pop attached to it. So it's been kind of cool to explore writing songs that have some of those pop sensibilities.
Yep.
That I am a fan of, but I've never really consciously tried to write.
Right.
And it's that's been fun, and of course I am a fan of all of the the 70s power pop stuff and on through.
Yep.
And so I think it's cool and it's fun for me to.
There's a certain jangle. You're the guitar player. I assume you got a jangle.
That's true. We have 3 guitar players and we all play kind of like, in our own way. So,
yeah. Cool. One track I wanted to touch on was "Who Took My Baby Away." It seems to have some it wasn't the KKK that took your baby away. It sounds like it was a political conspiracy theorist.
With Q, you know, and I didn't write the song, so I don't want to speak for Will, who's one of my best friends. But yeah, I think it's great. It's like, you know, perfectly playful take on this like really horrifyingly grim situation that's plaguing our society today.
Yeah. So I just interviewed a guy who was in a classic band from the 70s earlier today. And the first words out, he had American flags behind him. You know, he was Mr. You know, I could tell he was a MAGA supporter. And then he starts going on about how the COVID thing was created by the media, and I'm going, oh no. And you know, once we started talking about music, we were good, but it was just like, oh dear, where does that come from? Where do these, you know, how do you get like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think a couple years stuck with your computer is not good.
Yeah, and I imagine when you're out playing, you must run into folks like that because everybody's around, and you know, and some of them are otherwise excellent people. You know, it's just like,
oh yeah, I mean, you know, I hate to be the moral police on anybody. You know, we're all just people that read shit on the internet, but you know, I think our ability to decipher what is what has been really debilitated over the last few years.
Yep. On a brighter note, I see you have a song about the Soviet space dog. So.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe that's what it's about. It's up for interpretation.
When the news came around, she was off in space at the speed of sound, while we all wait, floating off in a deep black haze. We all shout hooray. We know every dog has its day, but only one's in this way.
I don't know why Will. That's another one written by Will Stewart.
Okay.
And I think it's just kind of a spacey tune.
Right.
So, yeah.
All right. So which one? I've heard the whole album, but I don't have any writing credits, so I don't know who's written what. Which one?
Oh, right. On this record, I wrote this song called "Are You Paying Attention?"
Right.
And the last track on the album, "The Push."
Okay. Well, Are You Paying Attention? Definitely got a kind of power poppy punky thing going on there.
I got 100 million ways to waste my time. Navigate the static space between your face and mine. But now that I can use my fingers instead of my head, I'm gonna tell you how to fix this mess in 40 words or less. Are you paying attention? Are you looking at me? Are you paying attention?
Well, that song is kind of like it's one. You know, a lot of the songs to speak to what's cool about this band too. A lot of the songs that I write. Like, I mean, I think like probably most people, I've got so many songs that are on a shelf somewhere.
Right.
First single from this record, "She Still Shouts." That the riff that kicks it off is like, I have had that song on the shelf for like 8 years, and I've tried to imagine it in this band or that band, and tried to write over the top of it, and it's just never worked. And then I just put it together with Taylor Hollingsworth one day, and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, that's what it should be. And "Are You Paying Attention" was another one of those songs that was just kind of on my shelf, and I was like, you know, I don't know, should I play play the chorus like this or like that. And Taylor was looking at me in practice and just goes, "That's chord salad, man. That's just chord salad." And he was probably right. And so we took out some of the chords,
Right.
and it just made it this sort of like a little bit of more of an anthemic chorus thing. And yeah, you know, like a lot of the songs and lyrics that I end up writing are always sort of back to what we were talking about this sort of like malaise of being constantly talked to on a screen, or you know, our attention subverted by devices and bits of capital, capital. So,
and of course, now that you're a new dad, you got to think about how the kids are going to grow up with us all around them, right?
Yeah, it's not going to be great. It's not going to be good at all.
But my opinion, just to digress a little bit, people whinge about social media is so disruptive, and but it's all about how you deal with it. I mean, I never had any issue on Facebook, whereas I have a friend of mine who's getting thrown off all the time. You know, he just can't keep his mouth shut, basically. I was like, why do you do that? I don't know.
I agree with you, but then again, it's like we have to learn how to deal with it somehow. And if you just grow up with it, how do you learn how to deal with it?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Very good. So what do you got planned for release day? It's coming up on the 17th here, right?
Yeah, man, we're going to do a little in-store listening party at our local record shop here. And, you know, with that being the weekend right before Thanksgiving and everything, we decided to wait and play a big show until we're playing at like the big rock club in town the Friday before Christmas. So that's going to be December the 22nd at Saturn. But yeah, we're gonna have a fun listening party and just hang out.
Cool. Is it a cool scene in Birmingham?
Yeah, it's an awesome scene. We have it's an unreasonably cool scene. I actually own this building that I'm sitting in now. I used to live here, and I started this DIY kind of punk space in 2009,
right.
And we still have a thriving punk scene that happens here. It's called the Firehouse. And then in 2019, I moved out, and in this space here, we started a nonprofit where we employ all local musicians, like pretty much everybody in the Blips,
right?
At a sustainable wage, and we fund scholarships for kids that live in this neighborhood to learn how to play music from us. So that's like kind of the hub of the scene where we are right now.
Yeah.
And just down the way is Saturn, the kind of the big rock club, and it's a great scene.
Cool. Yeah, because I was thinking, because again, getting back to Bright Eyes, they have a song about the Athens scene that they played last night, and it's not that far away, is it? It's kind of
no, not at all, not at all. And I've spent many nights playing at the 40 Watt and the Caledonia, Georgia Theater, and all the great spots right there on that one block in Athens. And it's you know, we got a really cool thing going here in Birmingham too.
Cool. So what are you thinking about the future of the band? Are you doing other things in addition to the Blips, or?
Yeah, you know, Will and I have a little side project band that we're working on that's kind of getting off the ground. I do another band with some younger guys in the scene, where it's like a total punk band where I play drums.
Right.
And yeah, like, you know, earlier this week I was playing a song and I was like, writing a little songs like, yeah, this is a Blip song. It'll be another Blip song. So
cool.
Yeah.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can find your way down here at some point.
I would love to, man.
Because we got a pretty cool scene down here, but we always need more.
Hey, if you can figure out a way to make it happen.
All right, I'll see what I can do.
See what you can do.
Very good. All right. Well, thanks for doing this. Have yourself a great day, and good luck with the record when it comes out.
Man, great to talk to you.
You too. Righto. Bye-bye.